Hello, and thanks for joining me. This is my first time spending the holiday season here in Turkey, and I thought I'd show you a little bit of what we did to celebrate. First, we visited a party supply store here in town, and I ended up picking up a few goodies that I'll use later on. And I also stopped by a craft supply store to get some other items that I wanted to use for some homemade decor. Normally, my husband and I spend the holidays with my family in the US, but this year we're in Turkey, so I wanted to bring a bit of the festivities to us. There have been plenty of signs of the holiday spirit around here, but still, it doesn't feel like Christmas to me unless you do a little decorating and holiday prep at home. Now, normally, my mom goes all out on holiday decor. Every inch of her home is filled with Christmas cheer, but it'll be a bit more scaled down in our home this year. I've always thought that the festive dried orange garlands were so cute, and since our orange tree finally had some ripe oranges, I figured this was the perfect time to try it out. Now, this was my first time drying oranges, so it wasn't perfect, but I tried my best. I sliced up quite a few oranges thinly and as evenly as possible, and I also gave it a shot with some mandarins, although those did not turn out well, seeing as how the seed to fruit ratio was a bit higher. But after laying them on paper towels and patting them dry as best as I could, I went ahead and baked them in the oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for, well, let's just say a very long time. At the local craft supply store, I picked up some red and green yarn and decided to make some festive pom-poms. I've always enjoyed making pom-poms. It's just a really relaxing process, I think, and I love the whimsy that they add to any room. I wasn't quite sure what I would do with them at this point, but I knew that I could find a way to use them somehow. After hours and hours of drying, my oranges were finally ready. And during recent walks in the countryside, I began collecting some branches and twigs and berries of various sorts that I thought might make a good decoration. Again, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them all when I picked them, but it's better to have enough to choose from than not enough. I ended up making a simple garland with the oranges and some twine and just hung it in the window. For the pom-poms, I simply tied them together in little bundles and added them to the doorknobs in the house. Now every time I go to open the door, I get a little burst of Christmas cheer. I also hung them from the stairs leading up to the loft and added some special accents. After my grandparents passed away, I was able to select something from them as a keepsake, and I got these little elves. I always remember my grandma having a miniature ladder leaning against her tree, and these little elves were posed climbing up into the tree. Now every time I look at them, I think of those nice memories. Originally, I wasn't going to have any sort of tree this year. However, my husband surprised me with this little one. I think he picked it up at the local nursery, and although it's not a Christmas tree exactly, it does the job just fine, and it's the perfect size for our little space. I decorated simply with some string lights and a few bits and bobs I picked up at the party supply store.
Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Not only green when summer's here, but also when it's cold and drear. Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Oh, Christmas tree, such pleasure do you bring me. Oh, Christmas tree, such pleasure do you bring me. For every year this Christmas tree brings to us such joy and glee. Oh, Christmas tree, such pleasure do you bring me.
Of course, you can't celebrate Christmas without Santa Claus, and Fig reminded me that she wanted to leave Santa some cookies for when he delivers presents at night, so I made sure to make a quick batch of chocolate chip cookies. Extra chocolate chips, because those are his favorite, I'm told. We also took a nice winter walk in town. It was a cold day, well, cold day for Datça, that is, but we still walked along the waterfront and picked up some warm drinks. Before bed, I set out my Mr. and Mrs. Claus figurines. These were another keepsake from my grandma. I actually used to sometimes help my grandma decorate for the holidays, and I always thought that these were just the cutest, so I'm happy that I have them now to enjoy. pig was starting to get sleepy, so we decided that it was time for some hot chocolate. I haven't found any Swiss Miss here in Turkey, so I just made some homemade hot chocolate instead, but it worked out just fine. We left out Fig's cookies and milk for Santa, and then cozied up in bed with our little iPad fireplace. I hope you enjoyed this cozy little day with us. If you'd like to see more from my perspective as an American living in Turkey, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Until next time, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Mutlu Yıllar. Thanks!